Expedition 39 has been underway for a little more than 45 days, beginning back on March 10th, the day that cosmonauts Oleg Kotov, Sergei Ryazanskiy, and NASA astronaut Mike Hopkins left the International Space Station aboard their Soyuz spacecraft. After 166 days in space, 2,656 orbits of Earth, and more than 70 million statute miles, the three landed back in Kazakhstan. And it was the first flight for Hopkins. Today, we find out more about the mission and what happens after the Soyuz's soft landing in the desert. And we say good morning to Mike Hopkins. Mike, thanks for joining us here.
Oh, good morning. It's absolutely great to be here.
I bet it was a long trip, but a month and a half back now after being 260 miles up aboard that station. How are you feeling? That's the first question everybody wants to know.
I absolutely feel fantastic. It's really been a fun 45 days since returning home. Physically, of course, there's a little bit of time that it takes to readapt to life on Earth. But then also just the minimal, having time to spend with the family and friends a little bit as well has been great.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you is, how has the actual recovery been?
Yeah, the recovery has actually gone pretty smooth. I had there's always a little bit of vestibular issues for me in particular. I had, I always felt like when I was say leaning over to wash my face or brush my teeth, those first few days afterwards, I felt like I was just going to keep right on going and pitch right into the sink. So those kind of things. But you recover pretty quick from that, and physically I feel great.
Yeah, I assume it's like the same kind of sensations that you would none of us would even think about having an issue with, but after you've been up there,
yeah, and there is that right after you land and really that first day, things feel heavy too. I mean, just lifting my head up when I first got out of the capsule, I was surprised at how heavy it felt.
Well, let's talk about the exercise part, because we know how important exercise is on the station, obviously, and you in particular focused on exercise as part of your kind of program. But talk about how much of a difference that makes in terms of your fitness, at the end of your mission as it was before you flew and during.
Well, in reality, it all actually starts before your mission. And we do spend a lot of time working out before you even launch, and that really sets the stage for when you get there. And then, of course, we have some just absolutely fantastic, we have some absolutely fantastic equipment up there, both the ARAD and then the T2 with a treadmill and the exercise bike, and then the ground personnel, our trainers that we have that help us with the protocols and everything. They do just a great job, and it seems to have worked. I landed, and of course there were those issues, but they went away pretty quick, and I feel like I was able to readapt to 1G very, very quickly.
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to ask is, in terms of your reintegration back into this one gravity environment or your regular life, has it been tough at all? I mean, you touched on it a little bit.
Yeah, it was quite surprising. So one of the first things we do are a lot of the tests, strength tests, and then what we call a VO2 max test as well. And I was very happy those numbers were coming out to my pre-flight numbers. So I think that was a good thing. I think that's a testament to what we do up on orbit, and it certainly pays off. So again, it's gone very quickly in terms of reintegrating to life on Earth.
Yeah. One thing I always like to touch on with crew members that return, and that is the interaction with all of these flight control teams. Obviously, the one here, we're in the station flight control room here in Houston. But talk a little bit about the experience of working not only with the trainers pre-flight and actually probably during the mission, but also the teamwork. You're very familiar with that, obviously, pre-NASA. But talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, it's truly an incredible experience to get to work with everybody down here in Mission Control, Huntsville, and in JAXA in Europe, and in Moscow as well. When I first came to NASA in 2009, I was extremely impressed with just how enthusiastic everybody is here at NASA. And they love space, they love their jobs, and you see that in the control rooms as well. When you deal with everybody down here on a day-to-day basis, they're really the ones that make it all happen, and we just get the privilege of flying in space.
Yeah. Well, one of the flight control positions in here obviously is EVA, or extravehicular activity. You actually did 2 spacewalks back in December before you came home, which totaled almost 13 hours. We just completed a contingency type spacewalk, and you obviously participated that in as well up there. Describe that experience. You weren't planning to do one, I don't think.
No, we weren't planning, didn't have a planned EVA for our increment while I was up there. And, you know, you certainly hate to see things break on station, but on the same time, you know, it was an amazing experience to get to go. That shot floating out on the arm is truly an amazing experience.
You know, the view from the ground is incredible, so it must have been just...
Yeah, that was an incredible experience, incredible feeling. But you know, that's really when NASA, I think, shines, is in these contingency situations, these crisis situations. And you know, the team here on the ground just does an amazing job of preparing the procedures that we need to execute when we go outside. And so by the time you do actually open that hatch, see the world in all its glory for the first time without any obstructions, you realize, though, that you've got this army of folks behind you that are helping you along every step of the way, and it makes it very easy to go out and execute then.
What's your schedule now going forward?
Yeah, you know,
they've got a plan for you now in terms of the office?
Yeah, so the last 45 days, again, have been a lot of medical experiments and debriefs where we sit down and we talk to the different teams on the ground about our experiences up there and share any lessons learned that might be helpful for going forward. But after this point, really, I'm going to spend a little bit of time here over the next months going out and sharing the experience and telling the story, and it's such a fun story to get to tell.
Yeah, well, we could tell, obviously, from the ground. You were almost like right now. You're always smiling, and one big part of that is enjoying what you were doing up there, and also obviously doing all of the work. Easiest final question for you, Mike. You ready to go back?
Well, I would love to go back. I would love to have the opportunity. If they asked me, I certainly would. But at the same time, I'm also enjoying time with my family and friends, and so it's you know, just I feel very fortunate and blessed to have had the opportunity that I did.
Well, we really appreciate you taking a few minutes. I know in all your debriefs and everything else that you got going on, stopping by here in Mission Control and talking with us and the Space Station Live audience. So thanks a lot, Mike.
Well, thank you, and I enjoy being in here. It's great seeing my crewmates up there, though I have to admit I am a little jealous of them.
Well, I think Mike's going to take a few minutes and walk around the room and say hi to some of the flight control team members as well. So thanks again for stopping by.
Thank you, Cal. Appreciate it.